Hello, everybody. This is Jack Perry and my co host Brian Lockhart. We're with the Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we break down movies of the Marine Corps 1 minute at a time. This week we are at minute 23. The movie minute begins with Gunny Highway continuing to be berated by Major Powers, and the minute ends as they leave his office. So, what you got, Billy?
Well, I can still hear that music in the background.
Yeah, that music's really annoying when you can really hear it. It's almost the only thing you do hear.
Now, as the next minute goes on, I had to put the DVD in and check something on the subtitles. So of course I had to get to that minute to get there, and I was like, I don't hear the music on my TV, but when I play it on with this headset on, you can't miss it. And I know we already said that, but it's still there.
Yeah, the volume is almost as half as loud as the dialogue.
I found it funny that it's so noticeable with headphones, but once I could hear it, I could hear it on my computer when I was watching it. But when I watch it on my DVD on my big TV, I did not hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what can I say?
Yeah, it's kind of like that the audio version of the sailboat picture. When you look at it, the only thing you can see is a stupid ass sailboat.
Oh, you mean a schooner?
The schooner. Yeah,
You dumb fuck.
I knew you'd get the reference. Yeah, this is a pretty good minute, man. A little bit of foreshadowing of conflict. They go in a little deeper. Kind of he kind of really establishes kind of what happened with the other, I guess, staff NCO. Called him a sergeant, but you kind of assume it would probably be the staff NCO.
Assume he meant the platoon sergeant, and in fact, I made a note of that because he said, the last sergeant went road on me. And I think he started talking about that last minute, and then explains what road is, retired on active duty.
Yeah,
And he said sergeant, and I assume he meant platoon sergeant, which I can't remember. With typically it could be a staff sergeant or gunnery sergeant at
yeah,
at that level. Typically, I assume gunny, but what do I know? I can't remember way back then.
yeah. It's been a few years.
And of course, where we were, different ranks filled in different billets all the time.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't uncommon at all to have a corporal or lance corporal running a show.
Yeah, yeah. I remember filling a billet as like a staff NCO, being a lance corporal, because it was like, all right, here, nobody wants to do this. You go do it.
Yeah, here you go. You've been pseudo not promoted.
Okay, well, great.
That's awesome. Does it pay more? No.
None of the power and all the responsibility.
Yeah.
Kind of like my life.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, road, retired on active duty.
I've never actually heard that phrase before, but it makes sense.
Well, I'd heard it as retired on the job, but seeing this movie, he said road, and I'm like, as a kid, I thought he said rogue, like Rogue One,
Yeah.
or Rogue from the X-Men. So I'm like, "Oh, he went rogue on me." And in context, it made sense because
Mhm.
when he said he went rogue on me, I thought he meant, well, he went out on his own, he did his own thing. But
Yeah. Stop following the program.
exactly. I mean, if I bother to pay attention though, he explains what road is right after he says it, retired on active duty. But yeah, this is where I've heard this from. I mean, I've used it. In fact, I've used it a lot in my life because of this movie, but I've also heard it as retired on the job.
That one once or twice.
If I ever hear anybody say retired on the job, I immediately just go road. They're like, what are you talking about? Don't worry about it. It's like a Pavlov's dog response. I have to say road.
Ring a bell, road.
It's pretty obvious what it means, but I did look up road, and of course it said, see also retired on the job, and it's employees who show up, do the bare minimum, take long breaks, disappear for hours, offer little or no ideas, and are usually the first to leave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Seems about right.
yeah, seems about right. So I guess they're blaming the recon platoons, as the major says, are less than highly motivated because their last platoon sergeant went road on them and were lax, and their discipline got a little lax there.
Oh, poor leadership, it does
Yeah.
have its impacts.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, your typical. platoon or whatever unit is, you're going to be made up of anywhere from 18 to like 23-year-olds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, who have different. All of them have different agendas, and usually they they very rarely ever sync up, except for a few things.
Right, different agendas, different backgrounds, and everybody wants to put their ice skates on or roller skates on and skate the fuck out of there.
Yeah, do as little as possible.
Exactly. You can't see it, but I'm raising my hand. I was one. You know,
Oh, I served with you, brother. I know.
I've learned from the best, though.
Yeah, yeah, I think of a few. I know you hated running.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, we had one time when they were trying to get this like new like shop up and running. They were kind of changing what we were doing, and nobody really knew what to do with us. So we used to take turns. We'd have like one or two guys walking around, kind of so we all, and we'd change who the one or two guys were at any given time, so that we'd always look like we were around and doing something. But the rest of us went up in this like attic and were playing chess. So we weren't doing what we went to MOS school for, but they didn't have anything ready for us to actually kind of learn what our new position was going to be. So one of our sergeants, he organized. They used his ingenuity and improvised, and we found something to do. We played chess.
This was right before I got there because you were on leave when I checked in. You were on leave for like a week or two, and then you showed up in that white Taurus, and like, oh, this is Billy. I was like, oh, hey, yeah, and yeah, and it started, and it was on from there.
We haven't stopped.
No, not even a little bit. uh, Good old days.
Yep. To get back to what Major Powers is talking about, after describing the last platoon sergeant, he kind of just throws it back at Gunny Highway. He's like, "You're close to mandatory retirement yourself, aren't you, there, Gunny?"
Yeah. The look on his face too, man, where his eyes is like, oh, fuck you.
Oh yeah, you could see. I mean, that's what I mean. We've talked about it before, and you can note it because most of the time he's not responding in this minute. Clint Eastwood, that is, he's reacting to how much of a douche the major's being to him, but
Yeah.
he's only reacting with his eyes. And I think Clint Eastwood's a great eye actor.
He doesn't need any dialogue. You could just tell there's just the small little motions and the little ticks, and you just like, oh, he just motherfucked him bad.
Yeah, he did. Like and of course, we're watching the minute, and he just when he says that about being close to mandatory retirement, he kind of squints at him and he kind of cocks his head a little bit, like, what did you just say to me? And he's like, but he's annoyed. You can tell he's annoyed by it. And he's like, that's right, Major. And the tone of his voice is very obvious that he did not appreciate that.
Apparently, they seem to think that conversations just stop at doorways because he didn't even get around. He just took 2 steps past the door and just like, yeah, is this guy always a dick?
Yeah, that is funny because yeah, as soon as I noticed that, it's like they're not being quiet and the major's right there.
He can't see me, so he must not be able to hear me. So there we go.
One of the things I noticed about Clint Eastwood's response of "That's right, Major," I noticed he didn't call him sir. Like in previous minutes, I think he was calling him sir.
Yeah,
And even though that is the correct term, he is a major and you can say that. I feel like
it's like Maureen.
yeah, kinda. It was his way of still showing the respect to the title without really showing the respect to the man, because I think that pissed him off. You could tell.
Yeah,
But and he gives him a dirty look too when he goes, "Well, I asked for Marines and
send
command
me relic.
sends me relics." So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, this relic whoop your ass.
Right, exactly. Of course he gets back about how Recon's less than highly motivated and he wants them in tip-top shape and of course now Clint Eastwood's just kind of back to his Gunny Highway self, and he says, "I'll make life takers and heartbreakers out of them." I try to look up the origin of that phrase, turn of phrase or whatever, and I know it comes up in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah,
They say it a few times. I think Private Joker says it at some point, and I think towards the end when they're dealing with that sniper
right,
in Vietnam, I think somebody's like, "Yeah, aren't I a life taker and heartbreaker?" So they say it a couple times.
right.
And of course, as I'm trying to search for the origin of this phrase, I kept seeing different instances where I think I think like they were I thought I saw something like maybe the Navy was trying to use it as a motto recently in a commercial, but I couldn't actually get them to play the commercial. But I know, like I said, I know it's come up in different and people use it now. But do you know anything of where like that came from, or anything, or other
Oh, I mean,
references to it, or
no, I don't, but I do know. I mean, it seems like it's been around for a long time. I mean, I guess it's the manly man, the guy that gets all the girls and is not afraid of anybody, the badass, the alpha male, the one that gets all the cheerleaders and prom queens, and the guy that'll beat up their boyfriends in the process.
yeah, I found this and I think it was from a foreign countries, and I forget which one now. Um, like some guy was like had a blog or something, and they were talking about. And I wish I could remember which country it was too. It wasn't American, and they were saying the difference when the Americans use Life Taker and Heartbreaker is exactly what you said. It's like Billy Badass, kill somebody, you're a ladies' man, that's where the Heartbreaker comes from. But they were saying when they use in whatever country this was, in whatever unit this was that I was reading about, they were saying when they say Life Taker, well, Life Taker is obvious, you know,
Right.
but heartbreaker meant not that they were like womanizers or swooning the ladies and sweeping them off their feet and all that. It was it was heartbreaking. They were heartbreakers because like they just like the widows and the
Oh, the
and
left behind.
yeah, like
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
the mothers whose son they just killed, the
Right.
the the, the kid whose father they just killed, the spouse, the widow who's now spouseless. That's what they
Yeah.
meant. That's what
Okay.
they mean by heartbreaker.
The single mom that's now in the dating pool.
Right. Right.
Sorry.
They did say something about Jody, but I stopped reading.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I want to circle back to something. You said that the Navy was recently trying to take life takers and heartbreakers and use it as a motto or a recruiting logo or ad or phrase.
I did say that, but that doesn't mean I'm correct.
Oh, just because I said it doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
Oh, I was about to say, man, in this PC culture, really?
Yeah, it was from a couple years ago, but like I said, when I was trying to look it up, it was
Okay.
kind of around the time when, of course, I'm gonna mess it up because remember, it's either Keith David or David Keith. I always mess it up
One's
because there's
black, one's
two,
white.
right? And the guy from They Live,
Okay, that would be Keith David.
Keith David. See, I I can tell them apart. I can never get their names correct. Um, he did the Navy voices for years and years. Not that he didn't the voiceovers. He
Okay,
was
yeah, yeah.
and so
With
what I found.
Godsmack, with Godsmack playing in the background, like, oh yeah, man,
Right.
this shit that made me. I was in the Marines and I wanted to join the Navy. I saw that commercial. I was like, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, people always talk about Morgan Freeman, narrating their lives. I'd much rather have Keith David do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But, he, he doesn't do that anymore, and this article was talking about, who do you think the next voice should be? And, of course,
Okay.
Morgan Freeman came up as one of the
Oh
names.
no, God, it's God.
There was a few different names, but, of course, people with epic voices were thrown around, and that's what this article was about. So I was kinda skimming it, and in that, yeah, I came across that article because I was looking for the life takers and heartbreakers, and I thought it mentioned something about that phrase and that they aren't, the Navy was gonna try and use it. But again, I didn't see any commercials that actually showed it, and I could have misinterpreted what
Oh,
I was reading. So, let's just go with I'm right.
oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm not gonna. No, we got microphones. We're experts. Randy Savage would be a good one. Is he still alive?
He is not still alive, but he would still be a good one.
I guess it would be a silent film then, wouldn't
We'll just get some archive footage of him saying talking about the cream rising to the top.
it? Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I'm you just
With the
put it in
Navy.
some sorta Navy terms.
Yeah. Glug 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 glug. Oh yeah.
"Ooh, yeah. Cup of coffee in the Navy." Yeah.
We talked about a lot of shit that has nothing to do with this minute.
Yeah, that's fine. Well,
But
okay, so
no, no, I'm not complaining. I think it's great. There you go, folks. A little something different.
exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought, and because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to the Navy, the Navy's new motto, um, here's an opportunity for anybody listening who wants to join the Marine Corps Movie Minute Facebook page or the Marine Corps Movie Minute, Quarter Deck, the private group we have on Facebook. Come join us and tell us how wrong we are.
Yeah. Shit, man. I live the rest of my life like that. I don't think I need it on social media too.
Yeah, well, I get like you said, I get that in my real life, and says, let's have a bunch of strangers and friends come in and tell me how wrong I am.
Yeah, yeah. The best one's
About
gonna be the strangers. Like, who the fuck are you? Well, shit, you were right, but still, who the fuck are you?
I guess we can wrap up this minute. When they get out in the hall, like you mentioned earlier, they're just talking as if Major Powers isn't like literally right over their shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, he only takes one step out. You know what? He does. Chuzu does close the door.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the barrier. It's the Hollywood barrier. He obviously cannot hear through the door. It's a soundproof room.
Well, Major Powers has his head so far in his ass, he's probably smelling his own farts.
Yeah.
He's not paying attention to anything they are. He's dismissed them. They're beneath him. He's kind of got that smug look on his face the whole time he's talking, but which goes in line with what they talk about in the hall when Clint Eastwood says he's always like that.
If you were and I were in that situation in the real world, the next thing you would hear through that door is, "Get the fuck in here!"
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Freak! Back in. Oh man.
Do you need something, sir?
Yeah. No, no, no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, no, sir. Go. Yeah, carry on, sir. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Enjoy the band.
I don't have much else other than just the minute wraps up with Sergeant Major Chuzu closing the door so they could talk shit about the major without him hearing it. And as you said in movie logic, he's way over there. He can't, and he says, well, the skinny on him is he consults the Marine Corps manual before mounting his old lady,
Yeah.
and that's how it ends. That's the
Yeah.
minute it ends, and I
Uh,
don't think you could end it any better.
nah, that's a pretty good ending. Well, yeah, man. I think we pretty much covered this one.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people where they can find us?
Yeah, so hunt us down on Facebook, the Marine Corps Movie Minute Quarter Deck, and the Marine Corps Movie Minute dot podbean.com.
Yes.
And you can find us on Google Podcasts, iTunes, and it sounds like we're starting to get quite the following. So all you folks in all these little spots all over the planet. We really appreciate you checking us out. Please feel free to reach out to us on the Facebook page. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we can do you guys better, and we'll start. You guys have anything interesting to say or anything? Maybe we'll kind of mention you guys on the podcast. Well, we do appreciate y'all listening though, because this is a labor of love for us. We enjoy hanging out with each other, and we like that you guys can kind of take part in our conversations. So thanks again.
Yeah, if they joined our Facebook page, we'll make life takers and heartbreakers out of them. Let's call them out. Thanks, Big Jim.
Yeah.
Glad you're
Right,
listening.
right, 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 right,
Right,
right,
right.
right, right.
Okay, that's enough inside joke.